Listen to me. There comes a moment in every man's life where he has to stop lying to himself. A moment where he looks in the mirror and sees the truth, not the filtered version, not the protected version, the real version. And some of you, if we're being honest, wouldn't even recognize yourself if the strongest version of you walked in the room right now. Why? Because you've been living off excuses. Excuses for why you're not further. Excuses for why you're not stronger. Excuses for why you keep waking up to the same life you say you're tired of. You keep acting like you've got time. Like you can negotiate your way into greatness. Like success is going to wait on you while you scroll, complain, and hope for a miracle. Let me break it to you. Life doesn't reward the comfortable. It rewards the ruthless. Not ruthless against other people. Ruthless against your OWN excuses. Ruthless against your laziness. Ruthless against every soft habit that's been stealing your future one day at a time. You want change? You want elevation? Then stop telling your body what it feels like doing and start telling it what it's going to do. This is the moment where you stop playing small. Stop negotiating with weakness. Stop living like you've got 10 lifetimes to figure it out. Because the truth is simple. The ruthless rise. The excuse makers rot. And the decision between the two? You're going to make it right now. Excuses are the invisible chains holding you back from the life you're supposed to live. And the dangerous part is that most people don't even realize they're wearing them. Excuses don't show up as loud obstacles or obvious barriers. They show up disguised as logic, as reasons, as justifications that sound harmless but are quietly destroying your potential from the inside out. When someone is shackled physically, they feel the weight immediately. They know they're trapped. But when someone is shackled mentally, when excuses are the thing keeping them down, they walk around believing they're free while never making real progress. That's the most dangerous position a person can be in, thinking they're trying when they're actually trapped. Excuses often start as simple thoughts. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'll start when things calm down. I'm waiting for the right moment. These seem small, but they grow fast. Every time you choose an excuse over action, you strengthen it. You teach your brain that comfort is the priority, not growth. And before long, excuses become part of your identity. You start believing the lies you tell yourself. You start building an entire lifestyle around avoiding effort, avoiding discomfort, avoiding responsibility. You convince yourself that you're the victim of circumstances, not the creator of your life. That's how excuses become chains. They don't just block you, they rewire you. What most people don't understand is that excuses feel good in the moment. That's why they're so addictive. They give instant relief, instant justification, instant protection from discomfort. When you choose an excuse, you get to escape accountability. You get to avoid the pain of trying. You get to delay facing your weaknesses. It feels easy, it feels safe, but that safety is a trap. It's a cage disguised as comfort. And while excuses protect you temporarily, they destroy you permanently. Every day you choose the excuse, you delay the future you say you want. You delay the strength you could build. You delay the life you know you're capable of but refuse to claim. The real tragedy is that excuses make you blind to your own power. They make you forget that you have control. Instead of seeing possibilities, you see problems. Instead of seeing opportunities, you see obstacles. Instead of seeing your potential, you see your limitations. Excuses shrink your world. They shrink your confidence. They shrink your identity. And eventually, they convince you that greatness is for other people, not for you. The chains tighten, and you stop even questioning them. You settle. You start calling it reality, when it's actually the result of your own refusal to rise. Excuses are also dangerous because they multiply. Once you allow one excuse to win, more follow. If you skip one workout because you're tired, suddenly, you have a reason to skip the next. If you avoid one challenge because it's uncomfortable, you'll avoid the next 10. If you blame others once, it becomes easier to blame them again. Excuses breed excuses. They teach you to quit before you even start. And every time you give in, the chains get heavier and harder to break. People don't fail because they don't have talent. They don't fail because they don't have opportunities. They fail because they surrender to excuses long before life truly tests them. They never even give themselves a chance. They let the chains decide their future. But those chains aren't locked by the world. They're locked by their own mindset. And the reason excuses feel so powerful is because they let you avoid pain. But what you avoid today becomes the regret you carry tomorrow. Excuses steal the life you were supposed to live. They steal your purpose, your potential, your strength. They take away the version of you that could have existed if you had just pushed through instead of backing down. The person you dream of becoming, the disciplined version, the successful version, the fulfilled version, can only exist when excuses die. But most people never meet that version of themselves because they're too attached to the identity built on excuses. It becomes their comfort, their shield, their default reaction to any challenge that requires growth. Understanding excuses as chains is the first step in breaking them. When you realize that every excuse is a self-made barrier, you gain the power to remove it. You stop seeing excuses as reasons and start seeing them as warnings. Warnings that you're avoiding your potential. Warnings that you're settling for less. Warnings that you're letting the weaker version of you win. And once you see excuses for what they truly are, you can no longer hide behind them. They lose their power the moment you expose them. Excuses don't fall away because life gets easier. They fall away when you get stronger. They fall away when you decide to stop negotiating with weakness. They fall away when you choose growth over comfort, responsibility over avoidance, action over delay. And the moment you stop allowing excuses to control you, the chains break, not all at once, but link by link, choice by choice, day by day. Ruthlessness isn't about being heartless, aggressive, or cruel toward other people. It's about being absolutely intolerant of the habits, thoughts, and behaviors that keep you weak. It's a personal standard, a mindset, a way of operating where you stop giving the weaker version of yourself any room to negotiate. Most people misunderstand ruthlessness. They think it means being harsh toward the world, but the truth is far more internal. The kind of ruthlessness that changes your life is the kind that demands full responsibility, zero excuses, and unwavering discipline. It's about stripping away every layer of softness that has allowed you to settle, procrastinate, or wait for a perfect moment that never comes. When you adopt ruthlessness in a healthy, disciplined way, you stop trying to protect your comfort and start protecting your purpose. You become brutally honest with yourself. You stop sugarcoating your failures. You stop pretending that you're trying when you know deep down you're not. You stop lying to yourself about why you're in the position you're in. It's this radical self-responsibility that separates people who talk about greatness from people who actually achieve it. Being ruthless means saying, if it's going to happen, it's on me, and actually living that truth in your actions, not your intentions. Ruthlessness is necessary because your goals don't care about your feelings. The world doesn't. Pause because you're tired. Opportunities don't wait because you're not ready. Your dreams don't shrink themselves to match your comfort zone. They demand a version of you that doesn't flinch when things get hard. They demand a version of you that understands discipline is not optional. When you get ruthless, you stop letting your emotions dictate your actions. You show up whether you feel like it or not. You work whether you're inspired or not. You prioritize the mission over the moment. People fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack standards. They allow themselves to operate at 50% and call it effort. They allow themselves to quit early and call it listening to their body. They allow themselves to skip one day and pretend it doesn't matter. But ruthlessness eliminates that entire mindset by removing the option to settle. It forces you to rise to a level of consistency that average people can't sustain. It's the difference between making progress and staying stuck. It's the difference between being interested in success and being committed to it. Ruthlessness is the enemy of excuses. When you are ruthless, excuses don't survive. You don't let yourself rationalize laziness. You don't comfort yourself with lies like, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I just don't have time." You see those thoughts as weaknesses trying to pull you backward. Instead of giving them space, you cut them off immediately. You develop a kind of mental armor where you refuse to tolerate anything that slows your progress. And the more you practice this, the more you realize how much of your life has been controlled by soft habits, soft thinking, soft discipline. Being ruthless also means recognizing that no one is coming to save you. There is no rescue team, no miracle moment, no sudden burst of motivation that will transform your life for you. You become your own rescuer. You become your own source of discipline. You become the force that pushes your life forward when everything in you wants to stop. This level of responsibility feels heavy at first, but it becomes liberating once you understand that it gives you total control. When you stop depending on external factors and start depending on your own grit, you become unstoppable. Ruthlessness requires you to confront discomfort instead of avoiding it. Discomfort becomes your training ground, not your excuse. When something feels challenging, you lean into it instead of backing away. You push harder when your mind says stop. You stay focused when distractions try to pull you off course. Discomfort becomes proof that you're growing, not a signal to retreat. This shift alone separates the discipline from the average. Most people run from the pain that would make them strong. The ruthless run toward it because they know it's shaping them into the version they cannot become without struggle. What most people don't realize is that greatness is not achieved with gentle effort. Change does not come from half-hearted attempts. When you finally decide to rise, to transform, to evolve, you need a level of intensity that scares your old self. Ruthlessness is not cruelty, it's commitment. Commitment to the life you want. Commitment to the mission you chose. Commitment to the potential inside you that refuses to die quietly. You cannot be gentle with the parts of yourself that have been holding you back. You must cut them off without hesitation, because they will destroy your future if you keep nurturing them. Ruthlessness means choosing purpose over pleasure. It means waking up early when the comfortable choice is to sleep. It means working on your craft when the easy option is entertainment. It means pushing through exhaustion, doubt, and fear because what you're building matters more than how you feel in the moment. It's not a mindset that comes naturally. It's one you build through repetition, through honesty, through the willingness to challenge yourself every single day. And once you embrace it, you start to see results that were impossible under your old lifestyle. You realize how much strength you had that you never accessed. And you realize that the disciplined, unstoppable version of you was always there, waiting for you to finally get ruthless. Comfort is one of the most subtle and dangerous traps a person can fall into, because it doesn't feel harmful in the moment. It feels warm, protective, and familiar. It convinces you that you're safe, that you're okay, that you can relax just a little longer. But every moment spent in comfort is a moment spent drifting further away from the life you know you're capable of living. Comfort doesn't look like a cage, but it behaves like one. It blinds you to your own potential, numbs your drive, and slowly drains the fire out of your ambition. People dream big while living small because they don't understand how powerful comfort's grip really is. It whispers that you can start tomorrow, that you deserve a break, that things aren't that bad. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin lowering your standards until your goals are nothing more than distant fantasies you talk about but never pursue. Comfort weakens your edge. It makes you soft, not only physically but mentally. The mind that grows accustomed to comfort becomes allergic to challenge. Every difficulty feels overwhelming. Every obstacle feels unfair. Every task that requires discipline suddenly feels impossible. Comfort takes away your resilience, your grit, your willingness to endure discomfort long enough to grow. When you stay comfortable too long, even the smallest inconvenience feels like suffering. You start avoiding anything that challenges you. And in doing so, you avoid the very things that build strength, discipline, and character. Growth requires friction, pressure, and discomfort. Without them, you remain the same year after year, wondering why life never changes. People don't fail because they lack dreams. They fail because they choose comfort over growth. They choose the short-term ease over the long-term gain. They choose the familiar pain over the unfamiliar challenge. Comfort seduces you with instant gratification. It tells you that scrolling is easier than studying. Sleeping in is easier than waking up early. Takeout is easier than cooking. Quitting is easier than fighting. And complaining is easier than taking action. And because these easy choices add up day after day, they quietly turn into habits that define your life. Every easy choice steals a piece of your potential. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you strengthen the version of yourself that will never accomplish anything meaningful. Comfort is dangerous because it makes excuses feel logical. You start believing your own justifications. You convince yourself you're tired. You convince yourself you don't have time. You convince yourself you're overwhelmed. You convince yourself you're doing your best when deep down, you know, you're not even close. Comfort allows you to pretend that your lack of progress is out of your control, when in reality, it's your unwillingness to step out of the easy routine you've built. It lets you hide from responsibility while pretending you're being realistic. But the truth is simple. Comfort keeps you stuck. It keeps you stagnant. It keeps you operating at a fraction of your potential. One of the most destructive aspects of comfort is that it builds a false sense of security. You start believing that as long as you're not suffering, as long as things are stable, you're fine. But comfort never protects you from consequences. It only delays them. You might feel safe today, but the future version of you will pay the price. Comfort today becomes regret tomorrow. Comfort now becomes missed opportunities later. Comfort makes you forget what you truly want until you look back years from now and wonder how you let time slip away so quietly. And by then, the gap between who you are and who you were meant to be feels too wide to cross. Comfort also tricks you into believing that small decisions don't matter. You think skipping one workout doesn't change anything. You think procrastinating for 1 hour isn't a big deal. You think choosing rest over effort just this once won't hurt. But comfort doesn't operate in big leaps. It operates in small, consistent moments. It's death by 1,000 small choices. You don't realize the damage until you look up and see that you're nowhere near where you wanted to be. Comfort grows quietly, slowly, consistently, and before you know it, it has taken full control of your life. The truth is that nothing great is built in comfort. Comfort never created a champion, an innovator, a leader, or a warrior. The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who had easier lives. They're the ones who refused to settle. They stepped into discomfort willingly. They embraced struggle, challenge, and uncertainty. They understood that pain is temporary, but strength is permanent. Comfort is the enemy of progress because it fights against the very things required for transformation. It pushes you to stay the same when everything inside you is screaming to grow. To break free from comfort, you need to develop a new relationship with discomfort. You must see discomfort as a signal of growth, not a sign to stop. When you feel resistance, it means you're pushing beyond your limits. When you feel fear, it means you're stepping into new territory. When you feel pressure, it means you're being shaped into a stronger version of yourself. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your greatest ally. Comfort will always tempt you with ease, but ease never builds the person you want to become. Comfort may feel good now, but it steals your future. Discomfort may feel hard now, but it builds your future. The choice between who you are and who you could be is found in that single moment where comfort whispers, "Stay here," and discipline demands you rise. The life you want is not built by hope, luck, or good intentions. It's built by aversion. A view that refuses to hesitate, refuses to negotiate with weakness, and refuses to retreat when things get uncomfortable. There's a version of you stronger, sharper, more disciplined, more focused, that is fully capable of creating the life you imagine. But that version is only activated when you stop allowing your emotions, distractions, and excuses to guide your decisions. The life you want requires a version of you that is decisive, relentless, and fully committed to the mission. Too many people never experience transformation because they operate from the same mindset that created their current circumstances. They want a better life, but think with the same habits, same patterns, and same weaknesses that have held them back for years. The future you want demands a different you, a stronger you, a version of yourself that does not fold under pressure or convenience. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they keep showing up as the version of themselves that is tired, undisciplined, overwhelmed, and easily distracted. That version cannot build anything powerful. That version cannot sustain momentum. That version cannot stay committed long enough to see real progress. But there is another version inside you, one that doesn't wait to feel ready, one that doesn't overthink, one that moves first and figures out the rest later. That version understands that success is not an emotional experience. It is a behavioral identity. You act your way into success, not feel your way into it. The stronger version of you shows up when you decide to stop letting your mood determine your effort. This is why hesitation is destructive. Every time you hesitate, you give the weaker version of you a chance to speak. You give doubt a voice. You give fear space to grow. You give excuses the opportunity to sound reasonable. Action kills hesitation, but hesitation kills dreams. The version of you capable of reaching your goals isn't the one that waits for certainty. It's the one that takes the first step even when uncertainty is present. Success belongs to people who move, who take action without needing the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, or the perfect plan. The life you want requires you to develop a bias toward action, a mindset where doing becomes automatic. Another critical part of becoming the version of yourself that can build the life you want is learning to separate feelings from execution. If you only work when you feel motivated, you will never build anything meaningful. The life you want is built on consistency, not preference. It's built on discipline, not mood. It's built on doing what must be done, even when you'd rather do something else. When you operate from discipline instead of emotion, you step into a version of yourself that is unstoppable. You become someone who follows through, someone who finishes, someone who does what average people avoid. And when you consistently operate at that level, the gap between who you are and who you want to be begins to shrink. Becoming the stronger version of yourself also requires eliminating negotiation. Every time you negotiate with weakness, every time you tell yourself, maybe later, it's okay to skip just once, I deserve a break, you reinforce the version of yourself that stays stuck. The life you want cannot be built by a person who compromises their standards. The path to your goals is straightforward, but not easy. Stop negotiating. When it's time to work, you work. When it's time to train, you train. When it's time to grow, you grow. Negotiation is the language of mediocrity. Execution is the language of success. The stronger version of you doesn't ask for permission to be great. It doesn't wait for the right mood. It acts. There's also a mentality that comes with this elevated version of you, a mentality of ownership. This version takes full responsibility for every outcome. No blaming circumstances, no blaming childhood, no blaming luck, no blaming the system. When you embrace full responsibility, you gain full power. The life you want demands a version of you that stops complaining and starts creating. It demands a mindset where obstacles become fuel, not excuses. People who create their dream life aren't the ones with the easiest path. They're the ones with the strongest identity. They don't fold when things get hard because they've already decided who they will be before difficulty arrives. The stronger version of you is built through repetition. It's built through daily choices that align with who you want to become. Every disciplined action strengthens that identity. Every moment of resistance you push through sharpens that version. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you are feeding the future and starving the past. The shift is not sudden, it is gradual. But over time, the disciplined version becomes your default. You start thinking differently, moving differently, showing up differently. You stop being controlled by impulses and begin operating from intention. That is when transformation happens, not through motivation, but through identity. The life you want is not out of reach. It is within you, waiting for you to stop showing up as the version that settles and start showing up as the version that executes. This stronger version of you already exists. It's the one that gets up early, that stays focused, that honors commitments, that works relentlessly even when tired. It's the version that refuses to lose to laziness, fear, or distraction. And you access it the moment you decide that your future matters more than your comfort. The life you want will never be built on half efforts, half belief, or half commitment. It requires a level of discipline and intensity that most people never tap into because they underestimate the power of repeated, daily effort. People look at success as a moment, a breakthrough, a single opportunity that changes everything. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more demanding. Success is not one big decision. It is thousands of small decisions made with ruthless consistency. Discipline is the engine that pulls you forward when motivation runs dry. And momentum is the force that builds when your disciplined actions stack on top of each other day after day. When you understand this, you stop waiting for life to shift and start shifting yourself through relentless, repeated action. Momentum is not something you wait for. It is something you create. You create it by showing up, even when you feel tired, overwhelmed, uninspired, or uncertain. Every time you take action when your mind is telling you to rest, you generate a spark of momentum. That spark becomes a flame, and that flame becomes a fire when you keep pushing. The problem is that most people quit before the fire has time to grow. They start strong, get excited for a week, maybe two, then fall back into old patterns when the emotional high fades. They live in cycles of restart after restart because they never stay consistent long enough to create real momentum. Discipline is what bridges that gap. Discipline is doing the work whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is choosing the long-term payoff over the short-term comfort. Discipline is refusing to negotiate with excuses. It is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is quiet, repetitive, and often uncomfortable. But it is the foundation upon which every great life is built. When you become the person who honors your commitments no matter how you feel, your results become inevitable. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on identity. This is what I do. This is who I am. I execute. Success becomes predictable. When your effort becomes predictable, imagine what would happen if you stopped stopping. Imagine if you worked on your goals every single day with even a fraction of the energy you spend worrying, doubting, or procrastinating. Momentum compounds. A little progress every day becomes massive progress over months and unstoppable results over years. But you have to be willing to start small and stay steady. Too many people sabotage their progress because they think they're supposed to transform overnight. They go hard for a few days, burn out, fall off, and then believe they failed. They didn't fail, they just misunderstood how momentum works. Momentum rewards the one who stays consistent, not the one who starts intense. There's also something powerful that happens inside you when you build momentum through discipline. Your self-belief grows. Confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from proof. When you repeatedly show yourself that you can follow through, you start trusting your own word. You stop questioning whether you're capable. You stop doubting whether you can achieve your goals. You stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start seeing them as part of the process. Every disciplined action is a vote for the person you are becoming. And when you cast enough votes, the identity becomes solid. You begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of more, who deserves more, who refuses to settle for average. Momentum also creates an emotional shift. When you're inconsistent, everything feels hard. Every task feels big. Every challenge feels overwhelming. But when you build momentum, things that once felt impossible begin to feel normal. You start moving faster, thinking clearer, and acting with more confidence. Opportunities start appearing because you're finally in motion. Energy attracts energy. Action attracts action. Success doesn't chase people who stand still. It moves toward people who move. Another reason discipline and momentum matter so much is that life will always challenge you. You will get tired. Unexpected problems will show up. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. If you rely on motivation, you will stop every time something goes wrong. But if you have discipline, you will keep moving regardless of what is happening around. Discipline makes you stable. Momentum makes you powerful. Together, they make you unstoppable. The strongest people aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep going despite the struggle. They use obstacles as fuel instead of excuses. They understand that building the life they want requires long-term consistency, not short-term enthusiasm. They don't give up because the work is hard. They expect it to be hard and show up anyway. They aren't surprised by setbacks. They're prepared for them. Discipline creates resilience, and momentum turns that resilience into results. The truth is that discipline and momentum are available to anyone. You don't need special talent, special resources, or special circumstances. All you need is the willingness to show up today, then again tomorrow, then again the day after that. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. You don't need massive action. You just need repeated action. The life you want can absolutely be yours, but only if you develop the discipline to build momentum and the momentum to keep discipline alive.